Welcome on. It's NBA Picks and Prop Time. You are rocking with your favorite pregame Thursday night NBA betting show. I am Dexter Henry. Another week, another edition. A lot going on in the NBA. This week, we'll be getting into games pretty quickly, more quicker than we usually do. So we're starting off with that, and then we'll get into some other topics that we definitely have to talk about. But I got to bring my guys in with me here today. Now, last week, our man, longtime viewer of the show, Eric Cheng, he predicted that we would have another DMP for the third week in a row, third show in a row. This has happened. Bryan Fonseca, your favorite Miami Heat fan, is out. Yes, out with a DMP. This was predicted by Eric Cheng. I don't know what the odds were on that, unfortunately, but definitely got him out here. So he'll be back. Brian's resting. He'll be back hopefully next week, and we all will be together once again. But I want to bring in my guys rocking with me today. First, my man Jamal Murphy, the Black ecologist. He's been writing a lot of stories about black coaches in the NCAA, and if you want to know anything about that, he is the man for that. Isn't that right, Murph?
That's me. Any questions about black college basketball coaches, hit me up. That's all I write about. You know what I'm saying? That's all I write about nowadays.
We appreciate it, and we see Bryan Fonseca because he's a real one. He's actually watching here, and he has some harsh words for Eric Cheng already. In typical Bryan fashion, F you to Eric for jinxing him and said to have a good show. You can't get more Bryan than that, if you know. Bringing in my other guy on this, my man Jarod Hector. Jarod, how are you doing? I usually like to have some conversations with you around the weather getting nice because we don't give a damn about 40-degree days. But now we're back at 40-degree days here in New York City. What the hell is going on?
Listen, this weather, spring has sprung for a little while, and now we're wilding out with 40 degrees. Had to wear my winter coat when I took the dog out for a walk. I don't know what's happening. I will say this, though. I'm like these NBA cats. Yo, man, when's the playoffs going to start? I'm tired. Let me get a little week off and let's start the playoffs, baby.
Yo, we're getting down to that late regular season fatigue. Want to thank everybody who's with us, checking in. Brittany Zamora, we see you as usual. Thank you. Yeah, who clicked the thumbs down? Yeah, show yourself, coward.
Exactly. Show yourself
on that. See, Brittany Zamora, fan of the show, she always calls people out. I love it that she's calling people out. All right, we're starting something different this week, guys. When we start, we usually talk about a hot topic, something going on in the NBA. But this week, you know what we're going to do? We're going to get right into the games. We're going right into the Thursday night games. Some good action here on Thursday night. A bunch of games, including two really good matchups that should be on TNT tonight. Going to start with the first game, guys. We got the Phoenix Suns in Beantown. They are the Suns, that is. They are 1.5-point favorites over the Celtics. The over-under for this is 219.5. Celtics have been playing some pretty good ball as of late. They are now sixth in the Eastern Conference. The Knicks have jumped ahead of them. Smiling there. They are now sixth in the Eastern Conference. This is the odds are saying this should be a close matchup. Jarod, we know how you feel about the C's, so we'll hold on with you for a second. Murph, do you like this matchup? Is this one you would bet on? Are you trusting the C's? Do you like the Suns? Should the Suns be resting players at this time of year? What do you think about this matchup?
I mean, from a pure basketball standpoint, I like the matchup. Phoenix has been the better team all year long. We know that. So in terms of the line, I think you got to go Phoenix at 1.5. Even if it is at Boston. Boston playing much better, 8-2 the last 10, but they're coming off a little disappointing loss. So hopefully, we don't know if they're going to revert back to what they were doing. I don't think they've been. Even though I went on last week and I was like, this ain't your last week Celtics. They're a brand new squad, but then that little bad loss the other day kind of made me temper it a little bit. I'm still not sure what Boston is right now. So I think Phoenix has been the much more consistent, better team throughout. So at 1.5, I think you have to go Phoenix here if you're gonna bet on this game. Phoenix is also 8-2 their last 10. But only 4-5-1 against the spread during that time, so that's interesting. But like I said, you got to go Phoenix here if you're gonna bet this. And I'm gonna stay away from the over under. I just can't get a read either way. I think 220, 219 is about the right place anyway, so I would stay away from that.
Staying away from the over under. One note: Jaylen Brown is doubtful for Thursday's matchup against the Suns. This is due to shoulder bursitis, so that obviously had an effect on the line. I think we're going to talk a lot about the Celtics in the next couple of weeks as we get to the playoffs and hopefully avoid this regular season fatigue, guys. But how we view the Celtics is going to be very interesting. Murph hits the nail on the head. Good week last week. This week, they just recently had a tough loss. You kind of don't know what to make of them. Jarod, we know the energy you keep for the C's. What kind of energy you keeping in terms of betting this game?
I am nothing if not consistent. Fuck the C's. No, look, the reality of this game is, right, with it being a 1.5 line, that's telling me Vegas is still not a believer in Boston, right? Because remember, this is the second out of a back-to-back for Phoenix, right? They played in Philly last night. Now they're coming to Boston tonight. Not a long flight, but still, it's two tough games in a row in terms of on the body. We know Book gets up for matchups like this against guys like Tatum and Brown and Marcus Smart. CP3 will fight in this game because that's who Chris Paul is. Like, he ain't the type to be like, all right, let me just lay down and roll over. The 1.5, I hear what Murph's saying about you got to go Phoenix. The thing that just makes me a little nervous is the back-to-back, just because your legs might falter and those shots might not go down. Phoenix has been 4-5-1 in their last 10 against the spread. Celtics 6-3-1 in their last 10 against the spread. 3-2 as a home underdog, and Phoenix 10-8-1 as a road favorite. Look, it's a pick'em game, so I'm actually going to stay away. But from the line, but I like the under due to the back-to-back nature.
Yeah, I would stay away from the over-under, but I like the Suns here. I think they're motivated. Jarod and I, before the show, we were talking about how the fact that they're motivated to try to get that 1 seed. They're really chasing that. They're playing for a lot. Like that motivation with them there. I still think they want to show out and prove out on the road. Boston, especially if they don't have Brown, got to go. I think you got to go with the Suns here for sure. All right, our second game of the night, we have what should be a good one. It's interesting how this line is. Philadelphia 76ers, they will be in the Cream City to take on the Milwaukee Bucks. Milwaukee is -8. They are favored in this contest. The over-under is 222.5. Jarod, the Bucks, they've been playing well, hanging around. They could even get the 2 seed right now. They are in striking distance of the Nets, so they have something to play for in terms of that. And I guess a 1 seed still in the possibility for them. Who do you like in this matchup, or is this one where Philly, as the top seed right now in the Eastern Conference, needs to make a statement on the road in Milwaukee?
Well, it's really unfortunate the timing of when this game is. Again, second out of a back-to-back for Philly on the road in Milwaukee. You mentioned that Milwaukee is within striking distance of the Nets. They're 3 games behind the Nets and 3.5 games behind Philly for 2 and then 1.
Yep.
This is one of those short series where they're going to play twice over the span of the next 3 days, right? So they play tonight and they'll play again on Saturday night, I believe. This is big. If Milwaukee sweeps this, that's huge, right? Because that brings Philly, that catches them 2 games closer to Philly based on what the Nets do tonight against whoever they're playing, or no, Friday against Boston, and then Sunday when they play Phoenix. Look, this game is interesting to me because it's back-to-back. I'm going to favor Milwaukee in this one. Both teams have been terrible in their last 10 against the spread. Philly 3-6-1. The Bucks are 4-6. I would say go Milwaukee here, but that point spread's so wide. Look, Philly's going to compete. They're not going to roll over. Again, dead legs, tired legs on those shots. And Philly already has issues offensively, and Ben Simmons is out tonight. So in terms of, yes, we know Ben doesn't shoot, but Ben is so much of a fulcrum of what they do on the offensive side of the ball. I do, however, like the 76ers money line at plus 268. That's an interesting note on there. So if you're thinking, maybe, and Tobias Harris also may be out tonight as well. So they're going to be down some firepower. So, and again, second out of a back-to-back, I'm leaning Milwaukee here, just because they got the more guys. They're not on a second out of a back-to-back, but, Milwaukee's kind of been up and down, right? They haven't been great. And that spread, told you, 4-6-1 in their last 4-6 in their last 10. Not great.
Not great at all. Obviously, the injuries, in fact, here, no Ben Simmons, as Jarod says. Seth Curry also day-to-day, and Tobias Harris, don't know what his status yet is for tonight's game. That has a lot to affect the line.
I think Seth and just check this. Seth and Tobias are in, Ben Simmons out.
So Seth and Tobias in. Does that make you feel any better, maybe taking a chance on Philly here, Murph, or do you like Milwaukee at home?
Yeah, I mean, there were so many guys who were game time decisions, and like you said, now we know Simmons is out. Giannis is even a game time decision, or he was a few minutes ago. So it's a tough call here. But one guy we do know is playing is Embiid, and you mentioned Harris is playing tonight. So I got to give Philly the edge, especially with the 7.5 point spread, I think they could at least make it a close game. So I think, I have to go Philly here, plus 7.5. And I also like the under here, just because, Philadelphia is one of the few teams in the league who actually plays defense. Philly's been 6-4 last 10 games, 3-6-1 against the spread. Milwaukee 5-5. So neither team has been on fire, either winning games or against the spread. But give me Philly because Embiid's been the constant here.
I can see that. I like Philly in terms of the spread. I can see them keeping it a little closer. But if I had to, pick and maybe go with the money line, I like Milwaukee because I just think Jarod hit the nail on the head there. I think talking about how they've got these 2 games in basically 3-4 days, and they kind of know this is an opportunity for them, especially if they get this first one at home. So I wonder how motivated they're going to be and what kind of energy Milwaukee would come out with tonight. Could be a good look to get them on the money line, but I still like Philly to keep this close.
Motivation's high for both of them, right? I mean,
that's
Philly could.
Good point.
If Philly sweeps this series, they basically are like, "Yo, Milwaukee, you ain't got no chance of catching us. Maybe they'll get the Nets, but you ain't getting us." And actually, if they lose to, they probably ain't catching the Nets either. So Philly could not bury, but really make it really difficult for them to catch the Nets or themselves for that 1 seed. So both teams are motivated. Again, I just wish that the first game wasn't the second night of a back-to-back for Philly, but is what it is.
Right. In terms of the spread, 82% of the bets actually is on the Sixers. As Murph said, he would there. So it's very interesting. Where in terms of money line, 53% of the bets is on the Bucks. But you're absolutely right, Rod. Motivation for both teams here. You want to get it done. This could have a huge impact in terms of Eastern Conference standings as we get to these final weeks here. Our last game that we're going to talk about, the Los Angeles Lakers. They have some help returning tonight, some major help. Anthony Davis is returning to the court. This will be his first game back after being out for quite some time. LeBron is hopefully on the way soon for the Lakers. They will be in the Big D playing Dallas. Dallas is 3-point favorites here. The over-under for this matchup is 216. The Mavericks, on their side of things, they've been up and down. They've been really shaky lately. They've had some losses to the Knicks. They've had some losses, I believe, to the Pelicans. It was as well, too. So they haven't looked really good as of late. They've really been up and down. Do you like them? They've got them at 3-point favorites, or do you think AD being back, guys, makes a huge impact in terms of giving the Lakers a boost, who've actually played pretty good defense without their stars there? Murph, do you like the Lakers here against the spread, or are you rocking with Dallas?
Yeah, I don't like the Lakers. I'm going to rock with Dallas. They're the more whole team right now, even with AD coming back tonight. It's only going to be, they're only going to play about 15 minutes. They're going to ease him back in. So I'm not sure how big of a difference he'll actually make. Dallas needs this game. They need to get, so their owner can stop whining about the play-in situation. They're trying to get out of that and become, get to the top 6. So they know they got to take care of business against a team where AD is only going to play 15 minutes. I think Drummond is a game time decision. I don't know if there's an update on that. And obviously LeBron is out. So Dallas, this is the type of game Dallas absolutely has to win. So and even KP is playing on a back-to-back tonight, if I'm not mistaken, which is kind of shocking. I'll take Dallas to cover the 3 points here, and I'm going to stay away from the over/under.
You talked about KP playing on a back-to-back, Murph. They're only half a game behind Portland, who's lost 3 in a row. So, and we know, like you said, how much they've been bitching about not wanting to play in the play-in. So they've got all the motivation here. I think that's why Mr. Porzingis is playing on back-to-back here. John, are you believing in the Mavericks? Are you taking them the same way, or do you think AD's presence and 15 minutes or so he may play gives the Lakers any kind of lift?
Man, the brow is back. Forget that 15 minutes. Lakers winning it all. Championship, baby. Fo. No lingering effects. You got 28-12 tonight, playing 30 minutes. No.
Oh, no.
All right. No, look. The Lake Show 6-4 in their last 10 against spread. Mavs 3-7. The Mavs, they've been such a tough team to read all year. 6-14 is the home favorite. Lake Show 5-5 is a road underdog. Look. As you mentioned, Dex, the Mavs are only a half game behind the Blazers for that all-important 6 seed. Why is that 6 seed important? Because if you get in the top 6, you don't got to do that play-in tournament. Mark Cuban, Luka, all y'all been bitching about playing. All right, well, keep pace, and you ain't got to worry about that. That's the thing about the play-in tournament, right? You got 72 games to not be in 7, 8, 9, or 10, right? So just do your job, and you'll be fine. But I do say this. One thing I know about the Lakers, AD or no AD, defense travels. I like the Lakers in this game.
You like it? You like him against the spread, or you like that over under?
I like him outright. I just think
wow.
they, the Lakers know who they are and they have an identity. They're like, and those role guys are like, oh, you think we trash because Bron and AD ain't here? All right, cool. Like, listen, the one thing they know how to do is guard, and they guard the hell out of people. Like, that's the one thing they do well is guard.
They can. It will be very interesting to see that. This is a tough one for me. It's so tough I would stay away because I could see AD's return having an impact on the Lakers. I like what you're saying, Jarod, in terms of how, these guys have been playing hard on defense and they played well without LeBron. But you would think, to Murph's point, the motivation's got to be there for the Mavericks. They got to have this one. It should be, right? You got to get this one against the Lakers. You have to knock this. They are down. You're only getting 15 minutes of AD. KP's playing on a back-to-back. You should show up, but Dallas really has looked shaky. I mean, I haven't liked what I've seen from them defensively the last few games. This is a complete stay away from me. I just don't like what I've seen about Dallas. I wish I was more confident. And everybody knows I'm a Luka fan, but it's been the Luka show and other dudes not stepping up. Sometimes Tim Hardaway Jr. himself, as usual, for about 3 quarters and then not feeling himself the way he needs to in the 4th quarter. I don't know, man. This one's a stay away for me. It's a tough one, but it's one that'll be interesting to watch how AD looks, how the Mavs respond. There's a lot of questions for this matchup, so it'll be an interesting one to watch. All right, that's the Thursday night games going on. There's a couple other ones around the league, not ones that have major playoff implications, but I'm sure we'll get to some of that later. But the 3 that we mentioned are really good in terms of betting and keeping your eyes on tonight. All right, segment 2 that we're going to do parlay to parlay or not to parlay. Got some interesting ones tonight. We got 3 for you. First one up, Luka Doncic. We just talked about him with the Mavs. Nikola Vucevic and Terry Rozier. I don't think we've mentioned him in a parlay yet this season thus far. All those guys have scored 25-plus points. The odds for this are plus 500. Jarod, is this enough?
Yes, sir.
Is this tantalizing enough for you? And who do you not believe in to get over 25 points tonight?
Well, at plus 500, that's telling me I should win that bet, right? Because it ain't in the outlandish plus 9 or plus 1,000, and it's not so easy as plus 2 to 3, right? Plus 5 is telling me I should win that. All 3 of these guys we know are capable of scoring 25-plus points. I think Luka's a lock because, who else going to score on Dallas, right? So he's a lock. Now, Vooch and Terry, the interesting thing about that game is the Bulls are playing the Hornets. So they're facing them, not technically facing off because one's a center, one's a guard, but they're playing each other, right? So, look, man, I don't know what the Bulls are doing, but I know they got Vooch for a reason. So they're going to be feeding that dude the ball. And, Terry Rozier, that dude got all the confidence in the world. He thinks he's the best player on the floor. So I'm going to roll with this at plus 500.
Luka, 30 points per game in his last 5. Nikola Vucevic, 21 points per game in his last 7. And Terry Rozier, who's actually shot the ball really well, really improved his game this year, 27.3 points per game in his last 7. Murph, are you confident enough in the scoring ability of all these guys to take this parlay?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm confident, but at plus 500, you don't have to be too confident. Just basically saying there's a decent chance it could happen. And I think, like Jarod said, like all 3 of these guys are capable of dropping 25, and they've all been doing it recently. Like all 3 of these guys have had 2 or 3 games out of the last 6 or 7 where they've gotten over 25. All of them have decent matchups defensively, except for Dallas, playing against the Lakers, but that's Luka. Luka can get 25 on anybody, so that doesn't matter. But Vucevic and Rozier have good matchups in terms of the defenses they're playing against. So yeah, I would at plus 500. Why not put a couple bucks on that?
Yeah, I think you got to get in on this. A lot of these guys have been scoring. You would think Vucevic has to score. The Bulls are trying to keep their play-in hopes, I should say, alive. They desperately need a win. You think he'd step up, especially without LaVine. Rozier has been balling, like I said, and like you guys both said, look, we know what Luka does. We ain't worried about him scoring. I think it would be the shock if he doesn't get
Yes.
over 25. That
Yeah.
would be the real shock here, I think, in terms of looking at this parlay. All right, next parlay. Odds are a little higher on this one. Suns, Bucks, and Magic all to win. This is plus 900. Now, you guys are probably worrying about the Magic because we haven't spoken about them. They are hosting the New Orleans Pelicans tonight. Early on, that's a 7 o'clock game. So if you're counting on them to win, New Orleans has been playing, okay, I guess a little bit better than before. But since that is Murph's favorite team, we'll ask Murph, do you have faith in the Pelicans? You don't have to have faith in them, but do you think because they've been playing better that Orlando has a chance against your Pelicans, or is there another team in this parlay that concerns you?
Well, Orlando has a chance, okay? Anybody who plays the Pelicans has a chance, okay? Because they do some of the dumbest shit you'll ever see, especially in the last 5 minutes. I mean, I don't know what is going on. I mean, they could be up by 10, 15 points last 5 minutes, and they're going to do some of the stupidest shit you've ever seen, like dribble off their foot 3 times in a row. Ingram going to throw the ball away. Even Zion makes mistakes in the last 5 minutes. Like, I guess it's contagious. You know what I'm saying?
You know, I thought of you the other day, Murph, because I was watching the Knicks game.
Yeah.
When the Knicks came back, and they're down 3, and Rose drives and has a clear shot of a 2, but for some reason Lonzo leaves his man. Now that's a good read by Rose to still find Bullock in the corner. But what are you doing leaving your man, Alonzo Ball?
And leaving Bullock? Like, I mean, dog, know your personnel. Who's out there? Like,
and watching that game kind of like annoyed me about New Orleans because you look at the two coaches, right? You got Thibodeau, defensive guy, and he's been around the league a long time. He's known as a defensive guy, and look what happened. The Knicks are playing defense, and then you look at Stan Van Gundy, known as a defensive guy. Always usually has good defense teams. You look at the New Orleans Hornets; it hasn't worked. They're not playing defense. So what's the point of him being the coach? Tell me that.
Damn.
If you're not gonna play defense, I mean, come on. But anyway, getting back to the
back to the parlay.
To the question. At plus 900. I mean, listen. New Orleans has done pretty well against terrible teams that they should beat. Usually, they've been taking care of business lately with that, so I think they'll win that game. Really, it's the other two games I would be worried about. The Suns have a tough one at Boston. We talked about that. The Bucks have a tough one against Philly. We talked about that. But at plus 900, I think it's worth it because, if I had to pick in those two games, I would pick the Suns and Bucks to win. And then you're just talking about New Orleans hopefully taking care of business against the Magic. So at plus 900, I would do it.
Yeah, and with New Orleans, who knows? Why can't the Magic win? Why can't Wendell Carter Jr. go off on them? Would it shock you? Or maybe it comes, I swear, if the Magic win and everybody hits for this parlay and something happens down the stretch with the Pelicans that they give the game away to the Magic, I'll be texting Murph like, man, you were right on that.
All you got to do is keep it within 10, about 2 minutes.
You still got a chance. You are in the game, still in the game. Jarod, do you like this for the same reasons? Are you confident in the Magic because of who they're playing or not?
Look, at plus 9, you gotta love it, right? I mean, that's just too good. I mean, that's when your eyes light up, like, oh, plus 900, I can get this one. But anything that involves the Pelicans or the Magic is just like, oh, like anytime those two teams are involved in anything, you're just like, man, I don't know, like, because they're bad. Murph laid out how bad they are. Magic are bad too, like they're terrible. Again, remember the Bucks. I would say I'm most confident in them. Just because, again, they're catching Philly on night 2 of a back-to-back. Yeah. The other two can win, but remember, it is night 2 of a back-to-back for the Suns as well. So, they can lose to Boston. Tatum get hot, score 45, and there goes that, right? But look, at plus 9, you got to go. It's silly not to.
Yeah, I'd have to in here, but I think that's why you mentioned about the back-to-backs too, I think, and the Magic against the Pelicans. I think that's why the odds are where they are, but you got to try. I'm with Murph. I would probably go Suns and Bucks in terms of picking them to win outright here, but, and then just hope for the best. But that the Pelicans do what the Pelicans do.
But so what's going to end up happening? The Magic and the Bucks are going to win, or the Magic are going to win, and the Suns and the Bucks are going to make you sweat the rest of the game. That's what's going to end up happening.
That you can see that happening. This is why it's so difficult to pick these things, even though we're talking about it. All right, got a player parlay here. And I saw we had somebody, Westside, I saw you in the chat asking if there was any good ones, any player props or parlays here. DeJounte Murray, Coby White, and Dennis Schroeder, point guard extravaganza here, all to record 6+ assists. The odds on this are at plus 600. Jarod, do you like this at all? These are not guys highly known for racking up the assists, but they are 6, and some of them have some interesting matchups. Should note that the Spurs with DeJounte Murray, he's going to be going up against the Detroit Pistons. The Spurs will be hosting the Pistons, and the Pistons are absolutely terrible. Do you like this matchup at all, Jarod, or these guys to get 6+ assists? I'm not sure I'm confident in any of these dudes, to be kind of honest with y'all.
Last 7 games, all 3 have averaged 6 assists or more. However, I have one word. Nope.
So you're saying everybody was just trending right at the right time.
Exactly. Listen, man, assists are such a listen. First of all, you got to make sure your stat keepers on the game. Like, there's just too many funky things that can go wrong with assists. And especially all 3 of these dudes. Nah, I'm good.
Murph, I don't know if you have the same trepidation, but I look at each of these teams and the offenses you play against. Maybe I feel a little bit better about Murray going up against the Pistons, but the Bulls have been struggling offensively. The Lakers have at points too. I know they're getting AD back. I'm going to say right now, I'm out on this like Jarod. Are you in for this at all?
Yeah, why not? Plus 600. I'm gonna get in on this. Like Jarod, gave you the stat. Like all 3 of these guys are averaging over 6 assists. Even Coby White, which I was surprised at that. But the last few games, he's been playing a little better. He's gotten his assists up. Zach LaVine is out, so he's had to do a little more. There's a reason it's plus 600 because you really can't trust any of these guys, honestly. Maybe I think I trust DeJounte Murray the most for some, or Schroeder too, because he's actually been in the 8-9 range in assists recently. So I'm good, man. I just feel good. I just feel good about it today that these also rans will get it done.
These also rans.
Damn. I'm kind of glad they didn't involve your boy Jakob Poeltl up in this. Who knows what you might have said.
I definitely know. Anything he's in, I
Jakob Poeltl.
I was like, who knows what Murph might have said on that. He might have been like, nah, we can't do it. Yeah, like I said, I'm like Jarod. I'm out on this one. It looks sketchy. I can see all these dudes getting 4 assists tonight. I can see it. Maybe DeJounte Murray gives you a nice 8, and these rest of these dudes get 4. Or you know what?
Because they play the Pistons. Yeah, I mean, he can probably do his thing, but the rest of them.
You know what? Even worse, the rest of the dudes will get 5. You're praying for whatever to happen in the last minute, and they get it to somebody.
You're like, hit that shot, you wide open. Come on, man.
Come on. And you're like, nope, you know it's not going to happen. You're absolutely right, Jarod. Assists can be fluky, and they're tough. That's it for the parlay or not parlay this week. If you have any interesting player props or parlays that you've seen, let us know throughout the show. We'll let you know our thoughts on that. Any other bets or any of the games you want to talk about, let us know. Just want to encourage everybody, if you're rocking with us, you're watching us for the first time on NBA Picks and Props, we are going to be rocking with you every Thursday night at 6 p.m., previewing the night's games, looking at the parlays, also looking at some future bets as well, which we're about to get into next. But if you like what you see, please subscribe to the Props Network channel. It's the best way to follow us, see the content that we're putting out. Even after the games and the night is over, we have more content that comes out on the channel. So be sure to check this out and rock with us again next week. We'd love to rock with you and talk to you more about the NBA and everything that's going on. All right. We're going to look at the future a little bit. All season long, we've been talking about various awards. And we talked about this award earlier in the season. It was Most Improved Player Award. And at that time, I believe Jeremy Grant was the front runner for the award. And, but now, you might say a certain person wearing blue and orange, playing in the city of New York, has had a resurgence wearing Bernard King's old number. He might now be the front runner for people watching. You can see the smile on my face a little bit here. He might now be the front runner for Most Improved. So I asked, is Julius Randle, obviously I'm talking about, is Julius Randle the guy that you'd want for Most Improved? He is a front runner in terms of odds right now. Or is it worth, even though it's this late in the season, even though everybody's got regular season fatigue, is it worth taking a flyer on someone like Jeremy Grant? Does Michael Porter have a chance, who's really improved this game? Does Zion Williamson have a chance? I think somebody who should be talked about in terms of somebody who's taken a really amazing leap from year 1 to year 2. What do you guys think right now? Who's your most improved player? Who are you putting your money on? Murph, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think you got to go with Randall. It's his award. He's in the big city. He's in New York. Everybody's talking about him. You know, I would say about 2-3 weeks ago, you know, there might have been some people. He was a little still under the radar, but you know, now he's dropping 40 almost every game out the blue. It's really his, and he has the Knicks squarely in the playoffs. I don't see how any way really he doesn't get it. Just partly because of all the publicity he's getting now, and I actually think he deserves it. I mean, he's a different player. Nobody expected this from Randall at all. And I've been a big Randall fan, and I'm the last guy to give up on players. You can do nothing for 10 years, and I'll be like, wait, no, you know what I'm saying? But no, Randall has been a surprise, so I think he actually deserves this award, and he'll get it going away. You're right, Jeremy Grant. We talked about him in the beginning of the year, but sorry, bro, you know, somebody just took over. You know, the better guy got you, and he's in a bigger city, and he's on a winning team. So that's the deal. As far as Porter, has he gotten better? I haven't really noticed.
I think he's been a little bit better on defense, Murph, than he has been. That's just my eyes. I've not looked at any advanced numbers. Maybe Jarod can speak to that a little bit better than me, but he's looked a little bit better on defense. And I mean, we knew how talented he was offensively, so maybe I think that's the point you're making. It's like, yo, we kind of knew he was dope offensively. It was just more about him staying healthy. I need a bigger jump from him for him to get, you know, most improved, because he's basically doing what he's had like a steady progression the way I see it. And then Zion, I don't think he's just played more games. You know what I'm saying? Like, he only played about 20 games first season. He's played more. He's been shooting 60% out the womb. So, you know, he's not doing anything he wasn't doing and you know, ever since probably senior year of high school. So, so I would the assists are up for Zion with him being more focal point of offense. So that's maybe something that some people may lean to. Jarod, are you with Murph on this? That this is Randall's award to win?
Look, man, we're talking about betting, right? And unfortunately, you know, the numbers say minus 500, so you ain't gonna be winning a whole lot of money on this, right? It's that's just where we're at. But it is, of course, his award to lose because he's playing on a 4th. Folks, the New York Knicks are the number 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. What the hell is going on out here? Okay, like, so when you got that and that whole machine, and listen, we live here in Gotham City. Playoff fever is gripping this city right now, and it ain't got nothing to do with the team that might win a title. It is all about the New York Knicks. Right? And people are just losing their minds. That the narrative is just so heavily slanted in his favor. Porter has seen a jump in his counting stats, and his advanced numbers are better. And you did mention his defense. But in order for someone like Porter, for it to be worth it, you've got to bet that he and Denver go on a run that they somehow vault themselves up to the 3 spot. They catch the Clippers, which I don't think is going to happen, right? And they're kind of hovered and locked in around that 4 spot. So while he has gotten better, the narrative and story is not there for him. Zion, that's not a thing. He's a number 1 pick. What get better? He is who he is, right? Like, nothing going on there. It's Julius Randle. And so by that token, minus 500, you're not winning any money there. So there's no sense in tossing it or wasting it on a long shot.
Yeah, this is an award, I think, you know, where the favorite, you know, the odds on him is such an odds on favorite. It's even really tough, to be honest. If we're being honest with folks, kind of tough to even bet on this at all. You're not going to get much trying to go with somebody else. It's really a long shot. You made a good point about Porter, somebody having to really lead, I would say, Denver over the next couple of weeks to vault up to that 3rd position. And I also would have to wonder, probably the point Murph is making, how badly Randall would then have to play, and the Knicks would have to plummet for him to lose this award. So I think we all pretty much are at the point where it's like, we don't see him losing the award at this point. I mean, I think, Murph, you hit the nail on the head here. It's not just the numbers with Randall. Randall looked like a different player. And I'm somebody who's always liked Randall. He had a really good season 2 years ago with the Pelicans, shot the ball well. I think he had like 21 points and 9 boards. But he's doing this. He's got, what is he doing? 23, 11, and 6. The decision-making, the turnovers were up. Our producer Greg, he knows I wanted to take him on the first card to the airport last year because he's turning the ball over, shooting like 28% from downtown or 6 attempts a game. Now he's shooting 41% from 3. The guy's been. It's the decision making that's really impressed me. Like I don't know about y'all, but that's the decision making, the commitment to his physique, the leadership, all those things put together has really impressed me. It's a different player. It's not just the jump. And I kind of want to say something because Murph brought it up about Zion. And you kind of brought this up too, Jarod. Do you think that it hurts? Can number 1 picks ever win the most improved player, or is it in their eyes like, yo, man, this is what you're supposed to be doing?
Right. It's very hard for a number 1 pick to get most improved, right? It's like you picked you number 1 for a reason, like because we knew you were going to be that dude. Number 1 picks don't get most improved; they get MVPs, right? That's how they show. Oh, we were who you thought we were. But I do want to go back to your Randall thing for a second about them. And you know, I love me some stats. In the history of the NBA, only 1 player's averaged 20 points a game, 10 rebounds, and 6 plus assists while shooting 40% from 3. Larry Bird, only person in NBA history to do that. You know who might join him this year? Nikola Jokic, duh. And Julius Randle. What is happening right now? This guy is playing incredible. Of all starting forwards who played at least 45 games, he is 5th in estimated plus minus. 5th. Like, he is that dude. And because of all those injuries, homie might end up making an all-NBA team. Like, now the real question you got to ask yourself is, what do the Knicks do in 2 years? That's the question you ask yourself. When that contract expires, what are you going to do?
Look, you don't worry about that. We live for today, man.
You got to live for today.
Murph, what did you say?
I mean, if he keeps playing like this, then that's who he is, and you got to treat him like a superstar. I mean, you got to have more than 1 year, I think, to really solidify that your spot as an All NBA guy. So I do think he's an All NBA guy this year. He deserves it. He's put the Knicks on his back, and like you said, they're a 4 seed in the playoffs, and he's in Larry Bird territory, for God's sakes. But but he's gonna have to come back and do it again next year to get to really get the respect and get paid.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the Knicks are in a favorable situation of having a year to see that, unless they want to extend him now. But if you're him, maybe you're like, y'all want to bet on myself and play that year out so I can get more of these dollars than the only amount that
it's so interesting. It is interesting.
I'm with you guys though. I think he's the most improved player, hands down. If the Knicks stay, unbelievably. Can't believe Jarod said it. I'm saying it, and I know damn well Murph and I, we picked the Knicks to win more than 20 games. Well, you did too, Jarod.
No, I did not. I said go the under. I was like, I don't trust this squad. Yep, I said hell no.
So you've been really surprised to know the impact.
They've been incredible.
But I think we're all shocked. Even the most optimistic, delusional Knicks fans, and I know a lot of them, even they are like, there's no way I saw this team as high as the 4 seed on, at this late in the season. Nobody saw this on April 23rd that they would be the 4 seed.
But I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid about them having a chance in the first round. I really, I think it's really all Thibodeau in terms of how hard they play. They play defense hard every single night, which hardly any team really does that. So they catch teams, but in the playoffs where everybody has to play D and has to play their best, I still think they're lacking the talent. So I don't really give them a shot to do much in the playoffs, but I'm very impressed with what they've done so far.
There's one team, we'll get into this more down the road before we move on. There's one team, though, I wouldn't be scared of if the Knicks played them, and they played them last night. That is the Hawks.
Well, that's true. They're in the same boat. They're in the same boat.
I think that would be a good series. I think it could go 6 or 7.
A lot. They can win that series. I take it back. They can win Atlanta. But if Boston were to sneak up in that 5th or something like that, no. You can beat Boston in the series.
I will say this. Tibbs is doing all the right things, pushing all the right buttons.
Yeah. They hit all the right buttons. You can see that.
And Murph mentioned they play hard defense every night. Do you know which 2 players lead the league in total minutes?
Randall's one.
Randall's one. And RJ Barrett.
RJ Barrett.
Oh, wow.
And at some point, that energy bill comes due. When will it come due this season for the New York Knicks? Typically, at the end of the season is when you're like, oh, man, we're feeling it now. And when you're now in the playoffs and it's 2x on that body, yeah. Just, Food for thought.
That's one of my.
But that also shows you how they're in this position, because they are taking this regular season more seriously than every other team in the league. If you play your top two guys are playing the most minutes, that means you really care about winning all these regular season games.
But you know what?
In the playoffs, everyone's gonna play at 37 minutes.
You know what? I've been fine with them doing that, because that's how you set a culture. Now you can't continue doing this for years and wear these guys down, but if that's how you set a culture, then that's it. And we were having this conversation in the group chat earlier. I don't know who gets all the credit for this. Some of it has to be Thibs, some of it has to be Randall putting in the work, but
Leon Rose, William Wesley.
Leon Rose, the culture seems to be, I'm not jumping ahead, it seems to be shifting. And that's all you can ask for any team in a franchise trying to, they're respectable. You got to respect them when you come in the Garden. You got to respect them when they show up on their floor. And this is how you started. So, that's all you can ask.
They made a great coaching hire. And they've also been, personnel-wise, they've made some good moves. So, they're going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think they definitely are. I just want to remind everybody, if you are looking for ways to look at all the odds and everything that we talk about with these games, you want to do the right thing. Doing the right thing is going to thepropsnetwork.com and looking at the NBA Live odds tool. It's the best place to shop for betting lines and use the propsnetwork.com live odds comparison tool. All you got to do is go to propsnetwork.com/NBA, and you can see there's different spreads and payouts from all the best legal sports books, all in one place. Doesn't get too much better than that. All right, about to wrap it up with our last segment tonight before we take some questions and stuff from the viewers. Keep it 100. Now, this week, I can tell you what will be lacking. You can take a bet on this for sure. There will be nobody betting on violence because Bryan Fonseca is not here. There will be none of that at all whatsoever. How are you guys keeping it 100? Murph, I'm going to start with you. How are you spending your $100 tonight?
I'm going to spend it all on these parlays we talked about. Why not? I got $100 to blow. But I'm gonna put 50 on the Luka Vucevic Rozier to score 25 plus at plus 500. I'll put 40 on the Murray, White, and Schroeder to get 6+ assists at plus 600. And I'm gonna put a little $10 bet on the Suns and the Bucks and New Orleans to choke.
Yeah, you love the Pelicans, man. You love the Pelicans. Jarod, how you spending that $100, man?
I'm doing a couple futures bets. Just because the odds right now for the championship, Lakers and Nets are plus 250, Lakers are plus 350. I mean, I think you can do an interesting strategy there where you pick them, but then you hedge with some of the longer shots. And I think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to start my hedging this week. I'm putting 25 on the Bucks at plus 800 and 25 on the Clippers. Yes, the Clips at plus 500 to win it all.
Wow.
So that's 50 right there. I'm going to go 25. Yeah, listen, I know Clips going Clip, but those plus 8 and plus 5 is too good. And the Clippers are sneakily just winning games and ain't nobody paying attention. Paul George is like, look, man, y'all talking shit on my name. I'm good. Just
playoff people coming.
Listen, I'm not.
I've been afraid to talk about it, but the Clippers have been really important, man.
Right? Yeah, that's why I ain't trying to say nothing, but I'm just saying. Yeah, I ain't getting too excited. I'm kind of like, all right, let me just a little 25 on plus 5 to win it all. And then, of course, the Luka Vucevic Terry Rozier 25 plus. I'm going to do 25 on that. And then my last 25, I'm going on this Lakers money line.
Lakers on the money line. Yeah, you said you did like that, and thinking AD's return will have a huge impact. All right. Here's how I'm going tonight. I'm going with that parlay that's too tantalizing. Stay away. Suns, Bucks, and Magic all to win. Plus 900. Putting 25 on that. Also, like the Suns in Beantown on the road with that minus 1.5. I'm taking the Suns there. Let's put another 25 on that as well. I'm not gonna. I was still thinking about going to Dallas, but I'm staying away from that game. I would go with. I'm going to go with Philly. To cover in their matchup against Milwaukee. Milwaukee minus 8, but I'm going to go with Philly to cover. As far as the line, I think they will keep that game close to 25 on that. And I'm going to go with one more game. I'm going to take the Bulls to win outright. They're hosting Charlotte. They need a win. I think they'll have a big game from Vooch tonight. I'm going to take the Bulls over the Hornets in Chicago to win. You know, I like trying to take these bad teams every now and then, even though that one time I thought the Rockets were going to end their 18-game streak, and that did not happen the way it was. And Murph shaking his head because he's like, yo, I didn't think that was smart at all. I never
Betting
thought
on
that
them,
was
Dan.
smart.
Nah,
Bad teams are bad for a reason.
and at this stage of the season, we got a large enough sample size to know who is bad, right? You played about 60 games, we know who's trash, right? Like
that is true. We're going to discuss a little bit more while we're here for our viewers watching. If you have any questions, any good parlays you saw, any other games?
Man, forget about questions, Dex. You know what I gotta say? Y'all been clowning me for weeks. Guess who was back last night, baby? Triple J.
Oh my God!
Yes, had 15 and 8 in this morning. Yeah, he played well last night. You know, he's obviously rusty. You know, like he's got to get back into game shape. It'll take him a while. Like, but he had 4 blocks. You know, 8 boards. You know, he'll be all right. Like, look, you know, obviously, all jokes aside, like I think he is super talented, and him and Ja are obviously the future of the Grizzlies. And now I got something to watch this last couple of games, this last couple of weeks of the season. Is like, all right, how are they going to ramp him back up? Because they brought him off the bench last night to, you know, you can't all of a sudden be out for the whole season and play 40 minutes. We gotta graduate ourselves up, and they're in the play-in, right? They're like 8 or 9, somewhere in that range.
They're 8 right now, 29,
right?
28.
So, you know, let's see what these Grizzlies do. I think this year for them, playoffs is big because Ja's got to get on that stage. Look, you're gonna get waxed. It doesn't matter though. Like, get out there, get your lumps, like experience that whole environment and how it's different when the other team is scouting you. Now we know what your counter move's gonna be. What's your counter to the counter? Like, let them experience that and see how they develop. Because, you know, these two guys potentially, if Memphis can get it all right, that's part of the future of the league, along with the Pelicans. Although I don't think the Pelicans are making any play-in tournament this year.
The Pelicans are now 3.5 games out of the 10th spot to get the play-in tournament, which would mean they need to win tonight against Orlando, and that would shock Murph. But let's talk about the Grizzlies for a second, because I think you bring up a good thing, and we know how long you've been talking, Jarod, about coming back. Finally, he's back, so it's good to see him. It's good to see him back. The Grizzlies lost 2 in a row, had a tough loss the other night to Denver. When you look at the way the play-in tournament is, guys, Dallas is at 7. They have a 2-game lead on the Grizzlies at 8. The Grizzlies have a 1-game lead on the Warriors at 9. And the Warriors and Spurs are virtually tied, but the Warriors have the tiebreaker. The Grizzlies among that group, they are the youngest team. You know, if they are in that play-in situation, do you like them? You talked about how important it is for them to get a taste of the playoffs. And I assume you're not just talking about the play-in, Jarod.
Yeah.
But do you like them as the youngest team, maybe the least experienced team there, to get out of the play-in situation? Well, if they stay at 8, they have to lose twice to not make it. But do you like them at all?
It's tough. So I think how does it go 7-10 and 8-9, right? That's how the breakdown goes.
No.
Some weird. It's like a whole weird thing.
So this is how the play-in is. 7 plays 8. The winner of that game gets the 7th seed. Okay. The winner of the 9-10 game plays the loser of the 7-8 game.
Got it.
And then they play for the 8th seed.
Okay. Got it? And who's 7? Who?
One game?
One game. Yeah, single elimination.
All three of those games are one game.
Wait, say that again?
All 3 of those play-ins are one game.
All 3 of those play-ins are one game. That is correct.
Okay. So Memphis is 8, and who's above them? Who's 7?
Dallas.
Okay, so they'd have to play Dallas. So so I think that'd be a great matchup for them, right? It's like, all right, and you know, Ja's deferential and respectful to all those OGs that play. So, you know, he'll give Luka, but he ain't gonna be afraid, right? Like, he'll get on that. Now he may get his ass kicked, but he's not gonna be afraid, right? And Jaren's got that same idea. I think that'll be a nice matchup for them, right? Kind of like the now Luka and KP versus the future in Ja and Triple J. I think that'd be a great matchup. And let's also remember, I kind of, even though they have a better record, I trust Memphis' supporting pieces more than I do Dallas's guys, right? D'Anthony Melton and Dylan Brooks and Xavier Tillman, those guys are playing, and they're playing well. So listen, and I would not be surprised if they figure out a way to win that, and they're like, all right, we're good, and we're now in that spot. And now they're gonna get their ass kicked by whoever they would end up playing, Phoenix, right? But it's fine. Again, get in there, get your lumps, get used to playing on that pressure stage.
It sounds like, since we talked about the Knicks with that, guys, but this is also huge for Memphis's culture, which I think is a point you're trying to make, Jarod. I guess, Murph, my question to you would be, we know I was going to ask you about the Pelicans, but we know they ain't coming, so we're not even going to touch on that. But do you think the Grizzlies have any chance of moving up to 7 so they maybe could host that playing game, which would piss off the Mavericks even more? You don't want to be in the playing game. Do you think they have any chance to move up? Especially, I'm only asking this in terms of Triple J coming back.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if I'd be surprised. Really, I'm not that high on Memphis, and I love Ja. Triple J, he needs time back on the court before I can really even judge where he's at. I'm not, I know that the bench has been solid, but whenever you got, whenever you play Grayson Allen 25 minutes, I don't know. So, no shade, but
Grayson Allen.
I can see 10, 15 minutes for 25 minutes. Come on.
Grayson Allen catching strays out here, man.
But so I like, the cream rises to the top. I mean, Luka is Luka. KP, it's all about health as far as that goes. And so we'll see. If he's healthy, I definitely like Dallas to take care of business and at least stay out of the play-in. But, so Memphis, I root for them. They're solid, but I'm not a true believer yet.
Yeah, I'm rooting for them in the sense of I'd like to see them in the playoffs, and I do think it's important for them, like the Knicks, to get in and not just play the play-in and get, even if it's 4 or 5 games, and like Jarod said, to get their ass kicked, but to take those lumps for Jaren and Ja to get a taste of that, some of the other guys. And I do kind of agree with Jarod on this. Like, as much as I'm a Luka fan, their supporting cast is better than Dallas. Like, there are more players I trust there than I trust. Who do you trust? Dylan Brooks or Tim Hardaway Jr.? You don't even got to ask me. You know what
Dylan Brooks. No one would say that Dylan is the better player, but who do I trust? I trust Dylan Brooks. Tim Hardaway Jr., I don't know what that dude's going to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. Now, the wild card guys, the wild card team, I think in that scenario with the plan where they're sitting right now at 9 is the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
Because of just to flip it on the other side, because of their experience, right? Like, because of the 2 players there who have done it before. Now, I don't know if we're going to count Andrew Wiggins, who has limited playoff experience, or Kelly Oubre Jr., who doesn't have any, I believe. Or no, he does have.
We ain't counting them. This is about Steph and Draymond.
Yeah, Kelly Oubre Jr. has played in the playoffs with the Wizards, but they're an up and down team. They're 29 and 30 right now. They're not the Warriors of old, but let's keep it real, guys. They do have experience, one. And look, we know the league wants them in the playoffs. Damn sure the league wants some Steph Curry in the playoffs.
Damn right.
And it's also a big market.
Listen,
too. Not saying there's any conspiracies.
All Steph got to do is basically do what he's been doing, right? Which is not out of the realm of possibility. He goes on another one of these streaks where he's scoring 40 a night. You ain't beating them when he's doing that. And I don't care what your playoff defense is, boxing 1, whatever, it don't matter. They'll put 4 dudes around him in a circle so you can't foul him. He'll just shoot 3s from the circle. Like, I'm telling you, like, if he's feeling it like that, you ain't, you got nothing.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting how the bets are going to be around these teams, because we talked a couple weeks ago about the odds of teams making the play-in or making the playoffs, and there's going to be a lot of money action on that, especially as we get closer. A lot of teams anywhere between 12 and 15 games left in the season. So some of the stuff, the races for that are really tight. We talked about the Knicks earlier. The Knicks could, I don't think they will, but the Knicks could, they're only a game and a half up of being out of having to play in the play-in.
Mm-hmm.
So
bunched up.
Right.
Anything can happen really quick in these playoffs. And we also talked at the top about the Nets and Sixers and the Bucks and how bunched up they are at the top. But the Jazz and the Suns, they're only separated by a game and a half. So while we are all fatigued regular season, there's actually still a lot of interesting stuff that can happen. Even the Clippers, only 2 games out of the top spot. The Clippers, you know how we feel about them.
Let's not talk too loud about the Clippers, because I feel like they're doing good right now. Everybody's forgetting about them, which is good. Let's see what see if they can wiggle their way in here.
Because they know what's going to happen. We know it's still good. We're going to win the first round series. And then second round, Murph and I is going to be like, man, we told you. And then we see Paul George out of the backfield. You know what time it is. We know exactly what time it is.
Poor Paul George, man.
I mean, I actually hope they come through. I'm not rooting for them to lose.
Right.
But I don't trust them.
No. And on the Eastern Conference and your Knicks, man, look, no team wants to see them in round one. Like, because it ain't going to be a fun series. Not that any playoff series is quote unquote fun, right. But they're going to make you work to beat them like the entire 48 minutes. I mean, I make it seem like no other team makes you work. They make you work in a different kind of way, right? Like you're going to have to grind your ass off against them. And in the playoffs, that shit gets annoying, right? Like, and then especially because you're seeing the same team, every other night or, a couple days break, it's going to get chippy. You're going to want to punch Julius Randle in the face. Like, it's just, these things are going to start happening, and that's some of the excitement of the game.
A little bit. I'm out here rooting for violence.
I'm not rooting for violence.
I kind of see the East taking itself out in terms of like that fourth and fifth spot. Like you said, the Knicks are only a game. It's nothing is really solidified there. So I still kind of expect the Heat in Boston to take those 4 or 5 spots. They're only about a game and a half, 2 games out at the most. So I just feel like, the cream will rise to the top in these next 10 to 15 games. And these, both Boston and the Heat have been up and down all season, but they're the ones with the most talent. They should be in that 4 or 5 spot. And I think that'll happen. And I agree that, the Knicks will be a tough out, because they play hard. But I think the real team you don't want to see in the first round is Miami. Because they play defense too, like the Knicks, but they actually have a little more talent around them, and they know what they can do. They just were in the finals, through the East in the bubble. You got Jimmy Butler. He's not lacking for any confidence. Bam's not like so. That's the team that I don't want to see in the first round. Even if you beat them, like if they played Brooklyn and Brooklyn is full strength, I think Brooklyn wins that series. But damn, do you really want to? It's going to be every inch he fought for. So
yeah,
I don't want to see Miami.
Yeah, I think they're the most dangerous team in the first round. And like you're right, Murph. Could they get up as high as 4? Could that flip in a week? Of course, it can happen. The Celtics could get up there. The interesting team, I think what happens with the Knicks and Hawks, if they drop, do one of them drop to 7? You have to play in the play-in. The Hawks, we don't know with Trae Young, injured his ankle last night. Don't know what that situation is. There's a lot to go on. Speaking of injuries, before we wrap, I think that's one of the things, and Jarod, you and I were talking about this before the show, to watch over the next couple of weeks in terms of watching the league and also betting his injuries. Who's going to be healthy close to the finish line? Who's going to rest players as we get close to the finish line of the regular season? And that's going to affect, obviously, a lot of the odds and stuff we see in the next couple of weeks. So when we're talking about games on this show in the next couple of weeks, a lot of it's going to be like, yo, who's playing? And a lot of it is going to be that in the playoffs, guys. Who's playing? Like, simply,
I think it comes down to that to me. We talk about Brooklyn. They haven't played together, and that's the big story. But who has? You know what I'm saying? Like that's the thing. I think he's Brooklyn in the mix. Like the Lakers are injured. We don't know. Everything comes down to who's healthy. We don't know right now. The Clippers, even Kawhi's been out. What's going on there? Giannis has been missing every other game. They have injury. Who doesn't have injuries? So it's a whole. That injury can go to every team right now.
Yeah, right, man, for sure. It literally is going to be who has 8 to 9 healthy bodies standing come July, right? That's going to be the team that's winning the title. Right now, I don't know who that's going to be at this point.
Yeah, and that's what's made this season so interesting and fun for us to do this show and talk about it. But it's also probably going to make the playoffs really fun. I think the things we can't even were injuries. Still COVID out there, folks. And if COVID gets a team, and I mean that in the way of somebody catching it, and they got to sit out due to the protocol.
Somebody going to strip club,
Yeah, Could you imagine somebody wiles out during the playoffs and decides to go? Like, dog, what are you thinking right now? The strip club?
I actually can't imagine that. Yes, I can.
yeah. I'm with you, Mark. I can see that. We saw what's the dude who risked it all? and brought the person inside the bubble last year?
What's his dude from the Rockets?
From the Rockets. What's my name?
Daniel House. Yeah, Daniel House.
Daniel House risked it all. Look, we seen people risk it all before for less. we seen people risk it all for a lot less. You forgot about that, yeah. But hey, it supports your point, Murph. People have risked it all for a lot less.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's it for this edition of NBA Picks and Props. We will be back next Thursday at 6 p.m. live. Hopefully, we should have the full crew at full strength. No more DNPs. But look, we got injuries too. We got stuff going on. It's the end of the season.
We get ready for the playoffs.
We get ready for the playoffs. Well, we got to rest up. Then Jarod, then Murph. Brian has to rest up. We got to be ready for the home stretch to give you that championship level quality of betting show that we do every week here on NBA Picks and Props. Special thanks to our producer, Gregory Alcala. Thank you for everything, man. That's it. Hopefully next week we thank you for everybody who watched Westside RSPS, Brittany Zamora. We appreciate y'all for checking in. We'll be back with you next week. We'll have a lot more to talk about. And who knows? Maybe the Knicks might be closer to third by that time. Nah, let's not get out of hand. Calm down, Knicks fans. Calm down. Just calm down.
We're about to take Milwaukee spot.
Yeah, I know. I got our producer Greg smiling over here about this. But that's it. That is Jamal Murphy, Jarod Hector. My guys doing their thing. Please check out Murph's work on black coaches in NCAA. He'll keep it real. If you don't like that, then that's your problem. Too bad for you on that. Also, check out my man Jarod Hector. He does some great work and some good videos he's been posting up on True Hoop and the 7 Footers podcast. Be sure to check all that out. Check us out next week, same time, 6 o'clock, right here on the Props Network. Until next time, y'all.